Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. Today, we are doing a deep dive into a really urgent question. I think it's one facing every organization. How do you get significant, measurable productivity gains in less time than it takes to schedule another long meeting?
Yeah, and we're looking at sources that focus entirely on these quick wins, strategies that can give you real quantifiable success in under an hour.
An hour of setup time, that's the key.
It is. I mean, this whole idea is really the antidote to process paralysis. You know, if you're working in a fast-moving environment, you need ways to stay ahead without getting bogged down.
Without a massive month-long transformation project.
Exactly. And the sources are clear that a quick win isn't just a temporary fix, it's a surgical change, something with visible impact in a single work session. It can lift the whole team's morale, like, right away.
Okay, let's unpack that definition, because everyone throws around the phrase quick win, but our source material, especially that piece by Felix Römer, gives a really strict checklist for what counts. We're talking about changes that actually move the needle on business metrics, not just, organizing your own desktop.
Exactly. You have to be super selective. The sources point to 4 criteria. First, low or no capital spend.
Right. So if you need a new software license or budget approval, it's out.
It fails the test. Second, it's got to have a narrow, really surgical scope. And third, a fast time frame. We mean hours or days to implement, not months.
And that fourth point is maybe the most critical one for speed.
Clear decision authority.
Yes. Clear decision authority and easy stakeholder buy-in. If your quick fix needs 3 levels of approval across 2 departments, it's not quick.
It's just a mini project wearing a quick win mask.
Right, and you can't create negative downstream impact. If you solve one small problem, but you introduce a bunch of technical debt or break 2 other processes.
You haven't won anything, you've just shifted the friction somewhere else.
So the big takeaway here is that you can act now. You can prove value to your team in under an hour with the tools you already have.
And with minimal change management. These things spark momentum, they build confidence, and they remove actual measurable friction from the workday. That translates directly into recovered time.
So before we jump into the 5 specific wins, let's talk strategy. I mean, how do we pick the right win from the, million tiny irritations we could possibly fix?
Well, the sources say you have to pin down the outcome first. Before you even think about a solution.
A checklist.
A short checklist for evaluation. Does this specific fix save measurable time? Or does it reduce errors? Can I do it with existing resources? And critically, will it avoid disrupting something else downstream?
If it's not a firm yes to all 3, then you move on.
You move on. It's not the right target for a quick win.
And this usually starts with a bit of process analysis, right? Looking for that low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, you just map the main steps of a high-level process. And we're not talking about a 40-step diagram here.
No, not at all.
Just, 3 to 5 main boxes. And you immediately look for the obvious stuff. Duplicated data entry, manual handoffs between systems, needless approvals.
Those friction points are where the real insights surface quickly. And often the fix is just a small governance change, not a new piece of tech.
What's really interesting is how this connects to more formal systems like Lean Six Sigma.
Oh, right.
Professionals identify these easy wins during the mapping and the measure phase of a project. In that world, they often call them just do it's JDIs.
So wait, if a team is running a massive 6-month transformation project, why would they stop to prioritize a 45-minute checklist fix?
For momentum and for validation.
Oh, that makes sense.
Big projects can lose energy. So teams are actually encouraged to park the huge ideas for a moment and just act on the easy solutions that the data shows them.
So that small victory proves the team can deliver.
It proves they can deliver, it validates the data they gathered, and it helps get stakeholder support for the bigger, riskier stuff later. I mean, if you can show a 10% reduction in errors with 30 minutes of work, people will trust you when you ask for a budget for a 6-month project.
It builds credibility.
It absolutely builds credibility for the people leading the change.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. It's like a down payment on future success. So, once we've framed the problem, let's get into the 5 concrete actions. Let's start with the low-tech classic, the checklist.
Win number 1. Standardize a recurring task with a simple checklist. This one is all about cognitive science.
And it's so powerful because it's low-tech. You create a simple list for something you do all the time, like client call follow-ups, employee onboarding, incident triage.
And it's not about capability. It's about minimizing failure when you're distracted or just tired.
The mental load.
Exactly. One of the articles pointed out the difference between the mental load of remembering steps versus just verifying them. When you're under pressure, say during a system outage, you're relying on tribal knowledge. The chance of missing one tiny but crucial step just
This
skyrockets.
is why pilots and surgeons use them. It's not that they don't know the steps.
It's that the checklist minimizes failure when the stakes are high. And for a team, it cuts errors and it also reduces variability. You get consistent quality.
Okay, so moving to win number 2. Automate a routine step to free up focus. This is where a few minutes of configuration can give back hours of focus time to your team.
This is huge, but we have to be really clear on the scope. We are not talking about building custom software.
Right, no developers needed.
No, we are talking about configuring a simple rule, a trigger, something that pauses a single action based on an event. So using a feature in Gmail or Outlook to automatically route an email based on a keyword.
Or using a tool like Zapier or Make.
Exactly. Setting up a Zap that, say, posts a message to a Slack channel when an email with the subject Project X Complete arrives.
That distinction is so important. It's micro-automation. You're just connecting two things that are already there. And if you spend 40 minutes setting that up and it saves your team 10 manual copy-pastes a day.
The ROI is instant, and it's measurable.
Okay, win number 3. Launch a one-page self-service resource. This one attacks a huge time drain. Repetitive questions.
Yes. The action here is incredibly simple. You publish a single, easily searchable page, a knowledge-based article that answers the top 2 or 3 frequently asked questions.
We all know those questions, the ones that interrupt your flow every single day.
And the value here is immediate, but it also compounds. Self-service cuts down on those repetitive interruptions for the whole team. It's about protecting deep work. Instead of your top experts fielding the same question 5 times a day, they're freed up to focus on the complex, high-value work.
But I have to ask, if we launch a resource like this, doesn't that just encourage people to stop engaging with the team? Could it create knowledge silos?
That's a really sharp question. And the sources are careful to say this isn't about replacing communication. It's about filtering the noise.
I see.
By handling the 2 or 3 most common generic questions, you make sure that the questions that do come through are the complex ones, the ones that need real human collaboration. It actually elevates the level of engagement.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is the meeting fix, which is a perpetual pain point for everyone. Tighten meetings with a parking lot and a decision log.
This is a pure governance change. It takes seconds to set up in any agenda. You add a visible parking lot for off-topic ideas, and you mandate that every decision made gets recorded live in a decision log.
This solves 2 huge problems at once. First, it stops those tangents that eat up the last 15 minutes of every meeting. You can just gracefully say, "Great point, let's put that in the parking lot."
And second, by the end of the meeting, there's no ambiguity. Everyone knows exactly what was decided, who owns it, and what the next steps are. It just speeds up project follow-through.
I can almost feel the time savings.
I remember a client meeting where a 5-minute question about some minor software thing just ate up 20 minutes. Finally, the chair just said, "Parking lot."
Yeah.
And we moved on. The focus returned instantly.
Decision velocity. I like that. Okay, and finally, win number 5, which feels especially relevant now. Use remote resolution tools to close one nagging issue.
Yeah, this just means resolving one specific problem, internal or external, using a screen share or a secure remote assist tool.
Instead of 100 back-and-forth emails.
Or forcing a handoff to another team, which creates a huge context switch.
The sources really emphasize avoiding that context switching cost. If you can just use Zoom or secure desktop access to see the problem live.
Then the technical person avoids all that lag time, all that mental energy of switching tasks. And crucially, it delivers a much better experience for the customer or the internal client. The problem gets solved now, not in 2 days after 3 different handoffs.
It's the digital equivalent of just walking over to someone's desk. Cuts out all the travel time for the information.
Exactly.
Okay, so we have 5 really actionable steps. They sound great on paper, but the real strategic value only comes if we implement them and then measure them. This feels like the part where most organizations drop the ball.
Absolutely. The fastest way to prove the value is to package a single change into a 1-page action plan and start today.
And the plan has to be, what, ruthlessly modest?
Completely. It names one owner, it lists the absolute minimal steps required, and it sets a micro timeline, hours or days, not weeks. You have to keep the scope tiny to stop scope creep from killing the whole thing.
Which requires right-sizing the management of it, too. You assign minimal resources, maybe 1 or 2 people max.
And you use short status checks, a 5-minute check-in at the end of the day. That's it. It keeps the team moving without getting buried in reporting overhead.
And then the crucial part, if you don't measure it, it didn't happen.
Strategically speaking, yes. We need data to prove the value. Felix Römer's article was so clear on this. You have to track 2 clear business metrics, not vanity metrics. Things like response time, error rate, cycle time, dollars saved.
But how do you measure something like the checklist win? That feels a bit soft.
It's not. You take a before and after snapshot. You measure, say, the number of reported errors on that task for the 3 weeks before you implemented the checklist.
Okay.
And then you compare it to the error rate in the first week after.
Right.
That drop, that quantifiable reduction in errors, that's your proof of concept.
And for the meeting win?
You could track how many items were moved to the parking lot.
Wow.
Or how many decisions were clearly logged versus the month before. You just have to quantify the benefit.
And this is where these small, isolated fixes start to become a real strategic success. The source material had some incredible real-world examples.
They were staggering. A small process change at a hospital, it unlocked nearly $900,000 in revenue.
Just by streamlining admissions and reducing errors.
Yeah. And another city program cut its internal costs by $200,000 a year while boosting its output just using these kinds of microfixes.
Those numbers really show that stacking these small, measured improvements builds this visible, undeniable momentum.
It does. If you can prove over and over that you can deliver a successful change in a week, you earn the trust you need for the bigger, more complex transformations later on.
It's the habit of managing and measuring the small wins that earns you the right to lead the big ones.
That's it, exactly.
So when we synthesize all this isn't just a list of 5 tips. It's actually a management framework.
Precisely. It's about adopting a practice. You choose a modest project, you confirm you have the authority to act, you execute ruthlessly, and then you report the measured outcomes. Over years, that habit is what shapes strategy and delivers sustained business value.
Which is the ultimate goal, that compounding success. So now that you have this framework and you have these 5 steps, the challenge isn't really implementing the fix. The challenge is committing to measuring the outcome. So close that loop. Pick one single repetitive task in your professional life and identify the one data point you can use to quantify its value. That is where the cycle of success really begins. Thank you for tuning in to this deep dive on the SmartKeys podcast. We hope this has given you the immediate strategic tools to improve your focus and results right now. Don't forget to subscribe to the SmartKeys podcast for more insights on the future of work and productivity strategies. If you want to dive deeper into the specific tactics and impressive metrics we discussed today, you can find a link to the full article, 5 Quick Productivity Wins You Can Achieve in Under an Hour by Felix Römer, directly in the show notes. We'll see you next time.